What if Bell was a Spirit of Vengeance Part 1? Now, basically, after this What If, I am going to be posting What If Deku was half White Dragon next Monday. And I also will be posting What If, what was it? I also will be posting a new What If, or a reboot, another reboot What If. What if Deku was Blue Lantern or Green Lantern? Now, I also will what was it sorry I also will be trying to work on different what ifs, pretty much involving Callum, as in the Dragon Prince, the TV show on Netflix. Basically, the last what if I did for that, I think it was a part 2 or part 3 or 5 to a what if I call what if Callum was Kryptonian. Now I am going to be doing a what if on what if Callum was a Green Lantern, so I'm going to post that probably doing this weekend, or maybe doing probably Monday. I also will be working on Jurassic Park, or the sequel to my Jurassic Park movie. What if I did? What if Deku was in Jurassic Park? Basically, it was just a what if on what if the Class 1A went to Jurassic Park as a field trip. So I'm going to be making a sequel to that, as it's just going to be about like a 2 hour long video of me just narrating the My Hero Academia pretty much class, pretty much going through all the previous movies, and or basically the first hour of the what if is basically just going to be, well, it's going to be the class UA going to Jurassic Park or Jurassic Island or whatever. Jurassic Park, I'm pretty sure. Jurassic World, the movie with Chris Pratt, the first one. So basically, the first Jurassic Park movie Chris Pratt was in with the Raptors, and basically just seeing how My Hero Academia would change that story. And also, it's going to continue with pretty much Jurassic Park, the movie after that, and then eventually Jurassic Park Awakening, or pretty much the newest one that came out today, because it's June 10th right now, I think, as I'm recording this. So yeah, so enough, talking about my future plans. Let's dive right into the video. As we start our story off with how Bell will get the Spirit of Vengeance, and how the story would change drastically, or change differently. Now, basically, what happened is Bell would have been born just the same, and him or his grandfather still being Zeus, as pretty much Bell would eventually come across Lady Estia, as he would have pretty much been blessed by Lady Estia. But doing pretty much the whole episode would go something the same. Bell would still be saved by Lady Valentine's, and he would still come across, and he would still be, teased by Ela, I think, that's the girl from the Adventurers Guild, Ela, or the elf girl from the Adventurers Guild, Ela. He would still be teased by her, but she would tell him what he needed to know about Lady Valentine's. As he would have pretty much, talked to Lady Valentine's, or not talked to her, but would have seen her at a cabin, or not a cabin, but a bar, as he would have ran out the bar, same as in canon, as the wolf dude would have picked on him, and would have basically made fun of him, as Bell would have ran out there without paying for his food, might you ask. But something would change in this story. He wouldn't go in the forest like other what ifs, like how he would get the symbiote, how he would get the Omnitrix like other what ifs. He wouldn't go into the forest, and he wouldn't go anywhere deeper into the forest, but he would go into the dungeon, same as in canon, as he would take down more monsters, as he would have gone deeper and deeper until he would have came across a whole swarm, as the swarm would be too much for him, eventually him being overwhelmed and dying, as Bell would have been eaten, or not eaten alive, but he would have fall off a cliff area in the dungeon, and basically would have cracked his spine and his neck, killing him instantly, as the swarm of pretty much animals left pretty much Bell's dead body, because it gave off a foul smell, even though it died seconds ago. So a couple hours later that night, deeper into the night, as Bell would have been in some sort of blank void of darkness, as he would have looked around, him being confused and also shocked, as he would have started to run around, just freaking out, trying to find an escape, as he would have ran for miles or hours or even days of time to him, as Bell would eventually stop, as he would hear a voice, as a voice would have appeared in some sort of skeleton-like form, as a voice would have been a disembodied skull, as the skull would have looked at Bell and would have asked him a question. Do you want a second chance? Do you want to have more power? Do you want to be able to, well, serve justice and do what is right? Basically, Bell would have taken this chance and would have taken this offer to come back to life, as he would have woken his eyes or opened his eyes in the real world as soon as he shook the hand of the floating skull. So the floating skull would have manifested a hand, as Bell would have opened his eyes in the mortal realm, as he would have woken up, springing back to life, him getting up as fast as possible, him sitting up and getting up on his feet. As he would start to look around, as he would have started to walk off, he started to feel immense pain in his body, as his spine and his neck would still be healing from some sort of magic. Mephisto or, well, Ghost Rider magic. As he would start to walk off deeper and deeper, not knowing where he was going, him thinking that he was leaving the dungeon, as he would eventually go deeper, and even so, go deeper into the grounds as he would eventually reach level 7. As Bell would have walked off, him trying to get out of there as quick as possible, but one of the monsters rushing towards Bell rushing towards Bell, as Bell would have dodged, but gets scratched against the chest, as he would have looked at his chest as it would burn, as his skin would stitch itself, or pretty much, well, burn itself back together, looking like nothing happened, as it would instantly heal by his chest just, well, engulfing in flames and going away. As Bell would have been confused and freaking out, as he would have looked around, as more monsters would have started to come at him. As Bell would start to freak out, as his skin would start to crawl with burn. Or not crawl, but his skin would start to boil. As his body would feel like it was catching on fire from the inside out. As Bell would eventually start to freak out, as his mind would go into insanity. As he would start to laugh, as his brain or his body would start to burn away, eventually leaving nothing but his clothes and a burning skull. As Bell would have woken up hours later, as he would have woken up in the middle of the street, as he would have looked around, as he would be in an alleyway, as he would have tried to remember what happened last night. As we get glimpses of Bell remembering some stuff, as we see Bell slashing and pretty much disintegrating the pretty much ant monsters, as he would have been shooting pyrokinesis blast, and also somehow summoned a whole chain out of nowhere, as he would have pretty much strangled most of the monsters and burned them all with the whip or the chain, as the chain would have burned them on contact. As Bell would have gotten up, as he would have walked off, as his clothes would be slightly burned, as he would go back to pretty much the church area where pretty much he lived with Lady Estia. As Lady Estia would have worried sick, asking about what happened, as we could switch to the next episode as Bell wakes up that morning, as Bell looks around. As Bell's looking around, as he sees his stats are different in the mirror, as he looks in the back of the mirror. As Lady Estia is asked to check it, as Lady Estia looks at the stats, as she sees that his stats have gone up, well, impossible. Like his stats have grown to a point where even people that have trained for years couldn't even reach his level of strength and speed, endurance, and magic capability. As she would be completely surprised in Bell, as Bell would have had a lot more magic potential and even have some sort of secret power, as she would have sensed something demonic but also angelic in Bell's body. As Bell would have been snapped out of it, as he would have woken up, basically him zoning out when Lady Estia was looking at his stats, as he would have woken up, him basically laying next to Lady Estia, as Lady Estia would have been knocked out. As Bell, when he zoned out, the Ghost Rider would have came over him, as he would have grabbed pretty much Lady Estia and knocked her out just by the sheer strength of him just getting up. As he would have, pretty much jumped out of the bed as fast as possible, as his back would have basically knocked out Lady Estia. As Lady Estia would have been laid on the ground, as he would just tuck her back into the bed as he would walk out. As he would grab pretty much a leather suit that he bought, but he never wore since it was way too hot. But for some reason, something was telling him to take it, as he would have put it on for the first time. Pretty much a leather suit similar to this, and basically, just because he just found this basically for a very cheap price, some sort of ran down janky, pretty much what was it, stand. As Bell would put this on, as he would zip it up, as he would walk out of pretty much the church, as he would have started to walk around, as he would have felt a newfound type of confidence, as he would have felt powerful for some reason, faster, stronger, just overall reborn, as he would have started to think very more vividly about last night and also about, well, how he died, as he would exactly remember how he died, as he wouldn't think it was a dream or anything. He would accept that he did die that day. He knew he was going to die when he fell off that cliff area and cracked his neck. As the first thing that went is his spine, and then his neck cracked. So he would feel the pain. So he definitely knew he died. So Bell would have gone back into the dungeon later that night, because that day it would be very uneventful. So the previous, story that took place in episode 2 wouldn't take place until episode 3, just for Bell to, understand his powers for plot reasons. So Bell would have gone back to the dungeon that night, as he would have started to experiment with his powers, as he would have started to figure that he had a small type of pyrokinesis, as pretty much he would start to be able to manifest blast of firebolts and also be able to mimic or manipulate and make constructs of flames, as they would slightly overheat his body if he uses them for too long, because he wouldn't be in his, Ghost Rider form. As Bell would also be able to summon a chain out of thin air, but not be able to enlarge it or basically catch it on fire like the Ghost Rider form. So basically, yeah, so Bell was pretty strong. Bell also had a slight more durability, as he could take a lot more blows and heal from them very quickly, because the Ghost Rider would have to keep him alive for it to become Bell to become a vessel for it. So yeah, so Bell had regeneration in his human form, his base form. Bell has regeneration capabilities, slight pyrokinesis, and also be able to summon chains, and also having a slight boost of strength in his pretty much base form. A slight boost, I mean, like, he's just a little bit faster and stronger. And that's basically it. So basically, other than that, he's just as normal as anybody else in his base form. And the strongest he can get in his base form with this little boost of speed and strength is about like top Olympic or top athlete levels. So about like people that go to the Olympics type of, skill or pretty much physical capabilities. So he ain't superhuman at any means when he uses the strength boost. It just makes him a little bit more stronger and faster in terms of human strength. So it just boosts his muscle mass a little bit. Not boosts his muscle mass, but boosts the amount of energy he can exert into his muscles. So yeah, it gives him a little bit of a push. So yeah, other than that, he has regeneration, pyrokinesis, and a slight strength speed boost that can only work for about a minute. But other than that, he's pretty strong. So other than that, Bell. Sorry, I just got done with the Deku What If. Bell has all the powers of Ghost Rider, or the original Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, as he would have had some of the powers of Jaime Reyes as well, as he would be able to, manifest or imbue items or guns or arrows in this case, or even knives or blades with the pretty much power of the Ghost Rider and also Hellflame. So he would be able to enchant also horses and other, rideable mammals or vehicles with the Ghost Rider or magic or whatnot. He would also be, extremely like super hard to kill and also be somewhat of a god, as the Ghost Rider in comic book, if you don't know this, he is a fallen angel. So yeah. So basically, Bell is very strong. He has all the capabilities of Jaime Reyes and Johnny Blaze's powers mixed together as one. So, it's simple, Bell is incredibly OP, or very powerful, for an understatement, in his Ghost Rider form. And Ghost Rider has been able to go toe-to-toe with Hulk, World Destroyer Hulk, and still be able to slightly try to win the fight, as he would also be able to go toe-to-toe with other beings even stronger than Hulk himself. So yeah, so Bell has a lot of power under his belt. Now, Bell would have started to train more and more in the dungeon with his leather suit on, with the gloves actually as well. So you just imagine this but in an anime art style. So Bell would start to pretty much train his pyrokinesis and also some of his fighting skills and also the strength boost he gets, and basically started to feel really powerful in himself. As he would eventually, well, that night, as he would have started to freak out, as his body would have started to burn up, as he would have felt it happening again, as he would have wanted to focus more and more. Eventually, in focusing enough to go in the same void, but it would be a white void. As he would have looked around, as he would see the Ghost Rider, a version of him, but with a flaming, burning head, or a skull, a flaming skull on his body. As he would have looked at his body, it being an exact replica of him, just having the skull and the Ghost Rider form. As he would have looked at it, as it would have mimicked his pretty much movements, as it would have told Bell to watch, as Bell would be able to watch what he's doing, but Ghost Rider would have been in control. As Ghost Rider would have walked off, as he would have been able to talk and communicate with Bell, and Bell would be able to talk and communicate with the Spirit of Vengeance. As he would have started to walk around, as he would eventually leave the pretty much dungeon, as Bell would have went out on the town, as he would have came across a couple horses, as he would have looked at the horses and would have picked out one black horse, as he would have grabbed the black horse and would have started to burn it alive. Bell being very confused on what the Ghost Rider was doing, and the Ghost Rider was imbuing the horse with the power or with hell flame. So Bell got onto the horse, as the horse would be flaming a lot more than in this picture. It would be flaming like bright. But as he was starting to walk around the town, as people would see Bell, some people would see Bell basically riding on the horse. As Bell would have been riding around, as he would have sensed something, as the Ghost Rider out of nowhere would have started to giddy up and go as fast as possible. As the Ghost Rider would eventually come across some sort of dudes or group of guys trying to, let's just take advantage of this girl in an alleyway. As Bell would have jumped in, or the Ghost Rider would have jumped in, as it would have taken out his chain, and it would start to massacre the group of people, or the group of thugs, or pretty much bad people, or just overall the pretty much smug jerks. As he would have started to massacre them all, as he would have started to burn through their chests, as he would have started to pin-stare most of them, as he would come across the last one, or the last member of the gang that was trying to take advantage of this girl, as Bell would have grabbed the guy and shoved him against the wall, as he would have gave him the hardest pin-stare, him being the most sinful of them all, as his brain would have exploded and his body being caught in flames, as Bell would have dropped his body down to the ground, as he would have walked off, him scaring the daylights out of the girl. As the girl would have sat there, as the Ghost Rider would have pointed to her, saying innocent, as he would have walked off, jumping onto the horse and getting up, or pretty much, going into the sunset, or riding off into the sunset. As the sun would start to rise, as the Ghost Rider's form would have started to fade, but basically it still being able to be functional, as the Ghost Rider would eventually stop, as its flames would start to go dim, as it would just be, a skull, pretty much with a little bit of flames and like a big puffs of smoke coming off of it, like black smoke, kind of like the Ghost Rider from the second Ghost Rider movie. The second Ghost Rider movie sucked, but it did give you, basically, some people say, like, how does a Ghost Rider still function if it can't work in the daylight? Basically, simple fact is, I guess he pushed the Ghost Rider, and that's why Ghost Rider looks so weak while it's in the sunlight. So basically, Bell woke up a couple hours later, after he would have lost pretty much sight of the Ghost Rider, as he would have woken up, as he would see the black horse tied up at the front of the church, as he would have looked around, being very confused on how he got back home, even though he was out on the night like minutes ago, to his perspective. Now, basically, Bell would have gone back to his room, as Lady Essie would have left for that morning to do her job, as Bell would have sat there in the house, or in the room, as he would have tried to contemplate what was happening with him, what was going on with him, as he would have thought more and more about it, until out of nowhere Bell would have opened his eyes, as he would be back into the white void, as he would have looked around, as the vengeance, or the pretty much ghost of vengeance, or the spirit of vengeance, as he would have walked towards him, and would have told Bell that he needed to bargain with him. As they would have talked, and the Ghost Rider would explain what he is, and pretty much that he is somewhat of a curse, as Bell would have made a deal with the devil to come back to life, as Bell would have been confused but also very much destroyed by this, saying that I betrayed my goddess, as the Ghost Rider would have said that just to give it up, as I'm a fallen angel, I'm not a demon, as he would have told Bell to get up, as they would have been both sitting down in the void, as Bell would have gotten up on his feet, as the Ghost Rider would have told him that I will lend you my power when you need it the most, but for now, every night, for the rest of your life, you'll become my vessel, to wreak havoc, not havoc, but to wreak, well, justice to those that cannot be punished properly on your realm. As, well, the Ghost Rider would have disappeared and Bell would have woken back up in his room, as he would have looked around, and only seconds have passed by. Only a second, actually. But they were in there for at least an hour, as Ghost Rider would have explained most of his powers, and also pretty much what he is, and how Bell got him, and how Bell is now a vessel for him. As Bell would have walked off, as he would have left the house, as I'm going to leave it off here, guys. So, I'm going to continue this what if. Part 2 will mainly be more about Bell and him using his new powers and pretty much trying to use them out in the field and stuff like that. So yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Please like and subscribe. I will be making What If Bell Was a Green Lantern, or What If Callan Was a Green Lantern, later this week. And I also will be uploading What If Deku Was Half White Dragon later on this week. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. And as always, guys, have a blessed day.